Hello everyone, I am Kirti. This is the first video in the series on quantum mechanics and I have decided to make the series on wave concept because we frequently encounter this wave concept as we move further in our journey of quantum mechanics. But in this video, we shall have some physical insight on wave and we shall discuss few characteristics of waves such as wavelength, frequency, time period, etc. And in the end, we will have some short discussion on standing waves and its property. Let's begin. The moment I say wave, this is the pattern that generally comes to your mind. So where do we find these patterns in our daily life? We find them on the surface of water if any kind of disturbance is created there. So can I define wave as a pattern generated as a result of disturbance created in a medium? Yes. I define wave as a pattern generated as a result of disturbance created in a medium. But before moving further, let me correct myself here. All the waves do not require a medium to transfer. Basically, waves are categorized into two types: mechanical waves and electromagnetic waves. Waves are of two types: mechanical and electromagnetic. So these mechanical waves require a medium to transfer, whereas electromagnetic waves do not require any medium. And throughout our class, we are going to consider left to right as the direction of the wave, and the highest point on the wave is called its crest and the lowest point on the wave is called trough. Now let us try to have some physical insight on the propagation of wave, how the wave propagates on medium. Let's see. For that, consider a surface of water which is still. Consider still surface of water. And now, if I create some disturbance at this point on water surface, what happens? The molecule at this point, it gains energy. Now it starts vibrating or oscillating up and down about its mean position. But we know that there exist intermolecular forces of attraction between water molecules. So, when this water molecule goes up, it also drags the water molecule which is adjacent to it. Then this molecule also goes up. Now, when this molecule goes up, this in turn drags the other molecule which is adjacent to it. So this way, all the molecules on surface of wave, they keep oscillating up and down about their mean position at certain distance. Okay, and the maximum displacement that a particle undergoes on the surface of wave is called amplitude, and it is denoted by capital A. But mind you one thing, all the particles on the surface of wave undergo maximum displacement at certain point of time. It's not that only few particles are undergoing this maximum displacement. So let's see how. Now I am considering the same three particles and label them as A, B and C. A, B, C. When this particle undergoes maximum displacement or when the crest is at this position, what happens? In the next moment, this molecule loses energy and transfers it to B and it comes down. When B gains energy from A, what happens? It undergoes the maximum displacement and the crest is formed here. So in the next moment, this B loses energy and it comes down and it transfers energy to C. So when this C gains the energy, it undergoes maximum displacement and the crest is formed here. So this way, you can now visualize how the crest keeps moving on the surface of the wave from left to right. So in a similar manner, the trough also moves along with the crest. See, in this manner, the trough is also moving along with the crest. So, I missed out an important point here. When the wave is moving in this direction, the particles are just oscillating up and down about their mean position. That means the particles are not moving along with the wave. There is only the transfer of energy between the molecules, but the particles or water molecules, they are not getting carried away by the wave. So in a wave motion, there is only transfer of energy from one point to the other point, but there is no transfer of mass. Unlike the particle motion. In particle motion, if you consider a ball in my hand and if I am throwing it from one side to the other side, it has some mass, and when I am throwing it, I am imparting some kinetic energy to the ball. So when the ball goes from one point to the other point, both the transfer of energy and mass takes place. So this is the fundamental difference between the motion of a particle and motion of a wave. In wave motion, only energy is transferred but no mass is transferred. But in particle motion, both energy and mass gets transferred. And you can note one more point here. That is, when the wave is moving in this direction, the particles are just oscillating up and down about their mean position. So, these particles are moving perpendicular to the direction of propagation of wave. So, depending upon the direction of oscillation of particle with respect to direction of propagation of wave, waves are categorized into two types, transverse waves and longitudinal waves. So, in transverse waves, particles move perpendicular to the direction of propagation of wave. Particles move perpendicular, this symbol represents perpendicular, to the direction of propagation of wave. The best example for this transverse wave is waves on water, which we have discussed so far. Water waves. Water waves. Another example for transverse waves is electromagnetic waves. Electromagnetic waves. Because electromagnetic waves have two components, electric field and magnetic field, which are oscillating perpendicular to each other. Say, let me represent three axes. Electric field is oscillating in, say, x direction. Magnetic field is oscillating in y direction. Z will be the direction of propagation of wave. So, the wave propagates in the direction of z axis. So, the direction of propagation of wave is perpendicular to the components in electromagnetic radiation. So, electromagnetic radiations are transverse in nature. Now, let us try to understand the direction of particles on a wave. We know that particles are just oscillating up and down about their mean position. That means either the particles are directed upwards or downwards. They cannot have any other direction rather than these two. So, consider one complete cycle of a wave. So, I am considering this cycle of a wave, or I am extending the cycle. Now, consider the particles on right side of the crest. I told you that when this particle undergoes maximum displacement, in the next moment it loses energy and transfers it to the other molecule which is immediately next to it. So when this gains energy, it moves up to form crest or to undergo maximum displacement. So when this moves up, it drags all the water molecules which are below it, because you know that the water molecules have intermolecular forces of attraction between them. So this molecule drags all the other molecules which are adjacent to it. So this way, the molecules on the right side of the crest are directed upwards when the wave is moving in this direction. So now what happens? The molecule at this point, which is at the point of trough, when it goes up, its adjacent molecule, it comes down to form trough. So, since all the water molecules are held together by intermolecular forces of attraction, this drags all the molecules which are above it to the downward direction. So all the molecules on the right side of the trough are directed downwards. You can also put it this way. The molecules on the right side of the crest are directed upwards and the molecules on the left side of the crest are. So now let us try to understand the phase of a particle on a wave. Phase is a parameter that describes the state of a particle on a wave. By state I mean the position of the particle and its direction of oscillation. For that, let us consider one cycle of a wave. One cycle. Let me consider 4 points on a wave. Say A, B, C and D. Any two particles on a wave are said to be in phase when they have same displacement about their mean position and their direction of oscillation is also same. Now consider the particles A and B. Now the particle A, the displacement of the particle A and B is equal from their equilibrium position. But from our previous discussion, we know that the particle A is directed downwards and particle B is directed upwards. So the particles A and B are not in phase. Now consider particles B and C. Both the particles are directed upwards, but particle B is displaced upwards and particle C is displaced downwards. The magnitude of displacement might be same, but particle B is above the equilibrium position, particle C is below the equilibrium position. You know that displacement is a vector quantity, so the direction of displacement also matters. That means particles B and C, though they have same direction, their displacement is not equal because they are displaced in different directions. So B and C are not in phase. Now consider the particles. Let us consider the particle here, C and D. C, the displacement of the C and displacement of D from mean position is equal, but C is directed upwards and D is directed downwards. So C and D are also not in phase. So this way you can consider any two points on one single cycle of a wave. You cannot find any two points which are in the same phase. All the particles on one single cycle of a wave will have different phases. Now when you repeat the cycle, or when the cycle is repeated, now I am considering a point here, say this is P. Now compare A and P. Both the molecules or particles have same displacement about their mean position and they also have the same direction of oscillation. Both the particles are directed, downwards. Both the particles are directed downwards. So A and B are in phase. Now phases of a particles on a wave are repeated only after completing one single cycle. So wave is that's why called a periodic function. You can also say this, that the pattern of a wave is repeated after every cycle. So this way wave can be considered as a periodic function. So now that we have understood what a phase is, let us try to understand the units of phase. It appears strange, but phase of a particle on a wave is always measured in terms of angle, because one single cycle of a wave is considered as one circle. Because when a wave makes one cycle, one complete cycle, it is assumed to undergo a displacement of 2 pi radians or 360 degrees on a circle. You can also see it this way. When I flip this part of the wave, it makes a complete circle. So if you consider a point here, one point here, this point has a phase angle of 0 degree on a circle. Now, and this point has a phase angle of 360 degree. So all the particles on a wave have phase angle between 0 and 360 degree. So the particle at this position will have a phase angle of 90 degree. The particle at this position will have phase angle of 180 degrees or pi radians. The particle at this position will have phase angle of 270 degrees. Okay, this way you can consider any particle between point A. Let me label these points C, T, E. Okay, now you can consider any particle between A and B that will have a phase angle ranging between 0 and 90 degrees. So this way you can calculate the phase of a particle on a wave. I mean the phase of any particle on a wave. Now let us discuss the characteristics of a wave. There are certain parameters that describe a wave completely, and these parameters are the characteristics of a wave. I have listed some of them on right side of this board. Now consider the first one, amplitude. We have already discussed what is amplitude. It's the maximum displacement of a particle on a wave from its mean position. So consider this distance of this particle. It has undergone maximum displacement on this wave, and this distance is called amplitude, and it is denoted by capital A. Since it is a unit of displacement, it has got, since it is a displacement, it has got the unit of centimeters or meters. Now, wavelength. Wavelength is the distance between any two consecutive particles on a wave which are in phase. People generally define it as distance between two consecutive crests or troughs, which is also right, but this is the most generalized statement. So, say consider this particle. Now, where is the next particle which is in phase with this particle? I mean next consecutive particle, this is it, right? The distance between these two particles is the wavelength, and it is denoted by lambda. Since it is also distance, it has also got unit of centimeters or meters. Now frequency. Frequency is the number of cycles made by a wave in 1 second. So for that consider 4 waves, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 and wave 4. Now this, all of them have travelled for 1 second, and wave 1 is completing half cycle in 1 second. So its frequency is half, and the unit of frequency is hertz. Hertz is H-E-R-T-Z. Hertz is 1 over second or second inverse. So frequency has got the unit hertz or second inverse. Now consider this wave 1. It is completing half cycle in 1 second. So it has the frequency of half or 0.5 hertz. Now consider this wave 2. It is completing 1 cycle in 1 second. So it has the frequency of 1 hertz. Now consider this wave 3. It is completing this 1 and a half cycle in 1 second. So 1 and a half is 3 by 2. 3 by 2 is 2 ones are 2, 1.5. So this frequency of this wave is 1.5 hertz. Now wave 4, it is completing 2 cycles in 1 second. So this wave 4 has the frequency of 2 hertz. Now what is time period? Time period is time taken by a wave to complete 1 cycle. Now when we compare these two definitions, frequency and time period, frequency is number of cycles made by a wave in 1 second, and time period is time taken by a wave to complete 1 cycle. So it is clear from the definitions that frequency and time period are inverse of each other. Frequency is equal to 1 over time period, or time period is equal to 1 over frequency. So the unit of frequency was second inverse. Unit of time period is second. So from the units also it is clear that frequency and time period are inverse of each other. Now consider the same waves. Wave 1, for this wave is taking 1 second to complete half cycle. So how much time it requires to complete 1 full cycle? It requires 2 seconds. Now consider this wave 2. It is taking 1 second to complete 1 cycle. So it has got the time period of 1 second. Consider this wave 3. It is taking 1.5 cycle in 1 second. So how much time it takes to complete 1 cycle? Say 1 second. For 1 second, it is completing 3 by 2 cycles, or 1.5 cycle. For 1 cycle, how much time it takes? X is equal to 2 by 3. That means 3 6 are 18. Sorry, 0.66. 0.66 seconds. So now consider this wave 4. It is taking it is completing 2 cycles in 1 second. So it takes half second to complete 1 cycle. Half second means 0.5 seconds. So we have defined frequency and time period. So there is one more thing called angular frequency. Okay. Let me write this. Yeah, there is one more frequency unit called angular frequency, and it is denoted by omega. So it is defined as the phase change that a wave undergoes per second. It is defined as angular frequency is equal to phase change per second. We have already learned that phase of a wave or phase of a particle on a wave is measured in terms of angle. So it has got the unit of radians. So this second will remain here. So angular frequency has a unit of radians per second. Now consider wave 1. The phase here is 0. Now when it completes half cycle, now here it has a phase of pi radians. Now consider wave 2. The phase here is 0. Here the phase will be 2 pi because it is completing 1 cycle. So 1 cycle on a wave is 1 displacement. I mean a rotation of 2 pi radians on a circle. So we have already discussed all these things while discussing phase. So here it has 0. Here pi, 2 pi. So 2 pi plus pi is 3 pi. Here 0. Pi, 2 pi, 3 pi and 4 pi. Now let us calculate the phase change. Phase change is final phase minus initial phase. So here it will be pi minus 0, that is pi. Here the phase change will be 2 pi minus 0, 2 pi. Here it will be 3 pi minus 0. Here it will be 4 pi minus 0. So I have already told you that these waves are traveling per second. So now the angular frequency here will be pi radians per second. The angular frequency here will be 2 pi radians per second. Here it will be 3 pi radians per second and 4 pi radians per second. Now let us define the velocity of a wave. Okay, we have to rub this. Velocity of a wave. For that, let us consider two waves, wave 1 and wave 2. Now this is the wavelength of wave 1. I'll denote it by lambda 1. Now this is the wavelength of wave 2. I'll denote it by lambda 2. Now it is clear from the picture that wavelength of wave 1 is greater than the wavelength of wave 2, and frequency of wave 2 is greater than the frequency of wave 1. So wavelength of wave 1 is greater than wavelength of wave 2, and frequency of wave 1 is less than frequency of wave 2. So what can we infer from here? It is inferred that wavelength is inversely proportional to the frequency. So when we remove this proportionality symbol, we get a proportionality constant. Let us denote it with V. V by mu. So V is lambda into mu. Now guess what this inverse proportionality constant would be? It is the velocity of the wave, because lambda is distance, so it has got the unit of centimeters or meters. Now frequency has got the unit of second inverse. So this centimeter per second inverse is the unit for velocity. So velocity of wave is defined as the product of its wavelength and frequency. And it has got the usual units of centimeters per second or meters per second. Now let us move on to understand what are stationary waves. So these stationary waves are formed when two waves of equal frequency, amplitude, traveling in opposite direction overlap. So when two waves having equal frequency and amplitude traveling in opposite direction, when such waves overlap, then they form something called stationary waves. So we'll discuss in detail how these stationary waves are formed. Let me first write the conditions for the formation of stationary wave. There must be two waves. The waves and these waves must be traveling in opposite direction. Let me write it as opposite direction travel. And the third condition is they must have same amplitude, and same frequency. So two waves traveling in opposite direction, when they satisfy this condition, then they form stationary waves. So now let us have some physical insight on how stationary waves are formed. Then we shall discuss the properties of stationary waves. So pay attention. Consider a wave. This is traveling in this direction. Now it goes on and somewhere it hits some obstacle, some denser medium. As we know that waves cannot pass through a denser medium, when any wave hits a denser medium, it is reflected back. And the reflected wave will have a phase change of pi radians or 180 degrees. So the reflected wave will not have the same phase as the initial wave. Okay. Now when this wave is moving in this direction, now let us consider this portion of the wave. Only this portion. Because this portion constitutes one crest and one trough. But besides this, it is better to start with crest first. One crest and one trough. So it's better to start like this. Why am I considering only this section of the wave? Because whatever happens in this section will be applied or is applied throughout the wave. Because wave is a repetitive pattern, and whatever happens in one time period of a wave, it repeats itself. So it's enough for us to consider or understand wavelength, one wavelength of a wave. Okay. So to complete this one wavelength, it will take a time period of capital T. Now we don't need this now. I'm going to rub this. Okay. Now let me divide this one complete section into 4 segments. 4 equal segments. Okay. Now let us consider the wave at t is equal to 0. So at t is equal to 0, the wave looks something like this. Now this is the complete wavelength distance, that is lambda. So since I have divided it into 4 equal sections, this will have lambda by 4 here. Now this distance will be 2 lambda by 4, that is lambda over 2. Now this distance will be 3 lambda over 4, and this distance will be 4 lambda over 4, that is nothing but the wavelength. Now when this wave moves in this direction, let us consider how it looks in this section at t is equal to 1 by 4th of the time period. In 1 by 4th of a time period, the wave travels 1 by 4th of this distance, 1 by 4th distance. So let us try to draw it now. Now when the wave travels 1 by 4th distance, this crest will move here, and this node will move here, this trough will move here. So here it is a crest, so here it is a node, so previous position might have been a trough. So the trough is, this node moves here, and here the trough moves here. So you will get something like this. This is not so sharp, it will be something like this. Okay. Now at t is equal to half of the time period. So how the wave looks here? So this trough moves here, this node moves here, this crest moves to this position, and this node moves to this position. Now here at this point it is a trough, so previous point might have been a node. So the node, this node moves here. So when I join, it appears something like this. Now at t is equal to 3t by 4. Okay, this node moves here, this trough moves here, this node moves here, this crest moves here. So here it is a node, so the previous point might have been a crest. So that crest moves to this position. So if I join, it appears something like this. This is at 3t by 4. Now at t is equal to, for whole time period, let me draw it here. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2. Actually, I had to pause the video and have a look at the diagram. So that diagram was going out of the box. So I have redrawn it to make it look better. Now let us continue. So this was over. The wave pattern at t is equal to 3t by 4 was over. Now let us see how the wave looks in this section at t is equal to time period. So this crest moves here, this node moves here, this trough moves here, this node moves here. Now the previous point here might have been a node, so here we will have a node. So it appears similar to t is equal. It appears similar to what it was at t is equal to 0, because after every time period the wave pattern repeats itself. So we have got that. Now, say this wave, it is moving, and say this wave is reflected at this point. So the reflected wave will look something like this. Now the reflected wave will look like this. Oh, I can draw this. Okay. This is the reflected wave. As I told you, this reflected wave will have a phase change of 180 degree. Say the source of this black wave is here. Since this started with crest, the reflected wave will start with trough, because at the point of reflection there is a phase change of 180 degree for a wave. Now let us look how the reflected wave travels in this section after every interval of t by 4 seconds. Now here is a node. Since it is traveling in this direction, we have to consider that this is a node. Now this node is transferred here. So the node will be here now. Now the node of this, here is a trough of red wave. So that trough gets transferred here. Now here is a node, that node gets transferred here. Here is a crest, so the crest gets transferred here. Since at this point there is a node, the previous point might have been a crest, so that crest comes here. If I join these points, the wave looks something like this. Now at t is equal to capital T by 2, let us see how this wave travels. There is a crest here at this point, so that crest gets transferred here. Now there is a node at this point, so that node gets transferred here. So there is a trough at this point, the trough transfers here. There is a node at this point, the node transfers here. And since here is a crest, the previous point might have been a node, so that transfers here. So the wave looks something like this. Now at t is equal to 3t by 4, let us see what happens. This node gets transferred here. This is a crest, so that crest gets transferred here. So here is a node, that node gets transferred here. Now this trough gets transferred here. So here is a crest. So here is a node. Then the previous point might have been a trough here. So that this trough gets transferred here. So if I join these points, it will look something like this. Now at t is equal to t, this is the point of trough which gets transferred here. This is the node that gets transferred here. Here is a crest, so it gets transferred here. Here is a node that gets transferred here. So this is the trough. So the previous point might have been a node, so which will get transferred here. The reflected wave will look something like this. Now in a medium, what we see is not these two waves individually, but we see the superposition of, the resultant of these two waves. In a medium, when two waves superimpose in opposite direction, we cannot see those two waves individually. We cannot distinguish them as wave 1, this is the wave, this is the reflected wave. What we see is the resultant of these two waves. So I am going to draw the resultant wave here. So at this point, there is a node. Both the waves have zero amplitude. Sorry, I have been saying node, but I have not yet defined what node is. Node is the point at which the particles do not move. Okay, that means there is no energy. There is zero energy at that point. The particles have zero energy at nodes. Okay, now let us continue. This is a crest. So the amplitude of the reflected wave and the initial wave sum up, and the amplitude gets doubled here. Say the initial wave had an amplitude of small a, and reflected wave will also have the same amplitude. So a plus a gives 2a. So this way the amplitude gets doubled here. Here is a node point. So here also the amplitude gets doubled. Here is a node point. When I join this, the resultant wave looks something like this. I am drawing it in red. Okay. The resultant wave looks like this. Now here, at time t is equal to 4, the reflected wave has an amplitude of plus a above the mean position, and the initial wave has an amplitude of minus a below the mean position. So both the amplitudes get cancelled, and we get a node here. Here is already a node. So these amplitudes also cancel each other. We get a node here. Here is already a node. So these amplitudes will also cancel. So the wave looks something like this. We do not see the wave. At t is equal to t by 2. Here is a node. Here the amplitude gets doubled. At the trough, here is a node. The amplitude gets doubled, and we get a crest here. Here is a node. So when we join this, the wave looks something like this. Now here, the amplitudes cancel each other. We get a node. Here there is already a node. Here the amplitudes cancel, and we get a node. Here is a node. So these amplitudes also cancel to give a node. So the wave looks something like this. So it's enough if we consider till time 3t by 2. Now, see, look at this point, the initial point. There is always a node at the initial point, okay? In all the cases, there is a node at the initial point. Now, let us consider this point, the second point. Here, initially there was a crest, then there is a node, then there is a trough, then there is a node. That means, let me draw this wave. Initially, okay, let me divide this into 4 sections first. 1, 2, 3 and 4. At the initial position there was a node and this point was oscillating between the maximum and the minimum. At the next position, see, there is always a node. So here is a node. Now consider the next point. Here it was minimum, then node, then maximum, then node. So this point is also oscillating between maximum and minimum. At the last point, you can see there is always a node. Now, if I join this, okay, the resultant stationary wave looks something like that. No matter how long you observe the stationary wave, there will not be any change in amplitude at the position of the node. The node points are always stationary in stationary waves, and the point of maximum energy, which are called antinodes, this point of maximum energy are defined as antinodes. These antinodes, they just keep oscillating about this mean position up and down. So this energy is unlike progressive wave. What we have seen in progressive wave, that the crest forms at each point on a wave. So each point on a wave undergoes maximum displacement and forms crest. But in stationary waves, each particle will have their fixed amplitude and that amplitude doesn't change with time. So stationary waves are moving in space, but they are stationary in time because there is no change in amplitude of these particles with respect to time. So these are the stationary waves. Let us quickly discuss few properties of a stationary waves. I have already mentioned that stationary waves are a sort of simple harmonic oscillator. The nodes, they move about, the nodes on the stationary waves are intact, they are not moving. The amplitude at the nodes is 0, and the antinodes, they just keep oscillating up and down about the mean position, and the amplitudes of the particles on stationary waves are always fixed. Now the distance between node to node is lambda by 2, half of the wavelength. Distance between antinode to antinode is also lambda by 2. Distance between node and antinode is half of lambda by 2, that is lambda over 4. So now we have got a feel of what stationary waves are. Now that we have spent some ample time on understanding what are waves, in the next class we are going to start with the failure of classical physics. And one more thing, this was my first video on YouTube. So if you have any suggestions for me regarding teaching or regarding the font size, handwriting, audio, video quality, or maybe regarding the pronunciation, please let me know in the comment section. I'll definitely work on it. Thank you so much. See you in the next class.